Hi, Facebook friends. This is Marianne Goldweber. I'm a professional medium, spiritual teacher, and the owner of a village personal and spiritual development. And I come to you live every Wednesday and Friday for my podcast, my video podcast. It's called Marianne's House. And so I just try to keep everybody inspired and give them new things to think about as we try to navigate this crazy human world from a spiritual perspective. So thanks for joining me tonight. Always look forward to seeing you guys. And so I'm looking very much forward to having a little bit of a dialogue tonight. Yeah, so much going on, right? Gosh. So thanks for joining me. I see Jeff on here, and I'm going to wait for a second and let everybody get on. So our tonight's topic is leadership and really igniting that leader in you. And yeah, that's a loaded topic lately. So what is how do we see that from a spiritual perspective and helping navigate and change this world? So that's what we're doing. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and um, type them in the notes, and as I go, I'll take a look at those, and we'll go ahead and answer whatever questions you might have. I may even channel for you guys a little bit so we can see what the other side has to say to you. Those are just really mini things. So if you do want a private session with me right now, I have a special going. I call it my COVID special because we're all kind of sequestered away. So sometimes we just need a little insight one on one to find out where you're at, where you're going, or maybe even working through some things that you might be facing, whether it be, a death in your family or friends, or just helping you stay on the spiritual path. We can always use a little insight from the things that love us and help us on the other side. So, hi Jeff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to tonight. Uh, there's a lot going on astrologically, and I probably won't be on here as long as I normally am, but I just wanted to, tap in and see, what's going on. So we're going to talk about being leaders today. Yeah, how about that? So early in my life, I didn't really see myself as a leader. In fact, I was usually the odd man out in my early life as a child, and I was very autistic and shy. I know you can you believe that? Okay, and but I think that was something that was just never nurtured in me at that time because there weren't a lot of people in my world that were able to do that for me. Oh, Brie, I miss you too. And so that leadership ability was really groomed through a lot of other experiences that I had in my life and other teachers that came along the way that really saw that light in me and encouraged me to be my best and take ownership for my life and really you know do those things that really came naturally but had been kind of oppressed. So I was very blessed to have some people in my life in a corporate way, as bosses and people like that that really took the time to really put me on the right path and discipline me, and teach me the rules and all of those things. And so I really think that that is something that we're all capable of. It's just that a lot of times we have things that happen to us that kind of squash that light or squash that ability to really be leaders. And so, like I said, I came by it naturally, but it was made sure that I was more of a that I'd be oppressed by people who were in leadership positions, whether that be family or society or authority figures in general. So I didn't have very good examples of authority, and there's a difference between authority and leadership. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What's the difference between the two of those things? So, so yeah, I'm looking forward to having these dialogues with you guys tonight. And if you have, what I would recommend though is that you take and maybe get a pen and paper. If you hear anything you like, take notes. And if not, I keep these up here so you can always rewatch them. I also have a YouTube channel, so if you get a chance to subscribe to that, it's under Marianne Goldweber. And so if you go ahead and and get on my YouTube channel, then you'll be able to, see these as they come up, and I upload them to YouTube. So yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of new things. I'm going to do some things on. I'm going to be doing some things on TikTok eventually. My son Jared keeps telling me I got to go on TikTok because it'd be a lot of fun to watch. Um, so yeah, so like I said, I have a special going on for sessions right now, and they're $60 for an hour, and usually they're 80 to 100 once we're in person. Or so the price, I'm leaving it at 60 for now because I think everybody could use a little guidance and some insight, because we've had a lot of chaotic things going on in the world, not only in the world, but astrologically. So there's a huge awakening that's going on right now, in case you hadn't noticed. So either, and a lot of times people have to be shocked out of denial, and they have to be forced into seeing the truth of their life or what's going on around them. And that's what we really call awakening. So some of us have had awakenings earlier to a lot of things in our life. And so it's very difficult to watch people have an experience when they really haven't wanted to look at those things before. So whether, people in your life that, their life has become a shit show, and, everybody sees it but them. And so until they get, awakened to the pain of that, they don't change. And that's really what we're experiencing in our world. So, we don't have the luxury of being asleep. There's too many very important things going on that require us to not only be leaders, but to look at who we put in authority places in our life and our world. So there's a huge accountability with that. We are responsible for who we allow to carry that bow of authority in our life or in our world. And, you can't just take a back seat and let that happen. So I'm going to say hi to everybody as they're coming on here. Hi, Jennifer. So all you guys need to do is give me a call. Do not send me a text about a session. When you call me, we put you right on the calendar. So, I'll put my phone number in here. But if you go to my website, which is mariannegoldweber.com, my phone number and all my contact information is on there. So, there's also links to like other things that I've done, because I've been doing this for a really long time. And I started out in the corporate sector, ended up starting my own business through my cottage industry, and then I started doing spiritual work full time. So that information. So I've been on television, and I've headlined at the theaters. I do a lot of big groups, corporate work, helping people learn how to get along better in the workplace. And yes, I do a lot of outreach stuff too. So working with people who, are just having some awful experience in their life. And so that's part of a ministerial aspect of the work that I do outside that. So when you have parties or readings or any of those things, that helps pay for me to be out there doing that work for free. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. So, and Kathy's on here. Hi, Kathy and Jennifer. Hey, Ralph. Yeah, so lots going on for sure. So yeah, I love leadership. So like I said, uh, I think we all have the potential to be a leader. It's just that we haven't really been groomed to be that. And quite frequently, people have had people in their life who didn't nurture that in them, or they weren't good leaders. And so again, we learn by example. So our earliest examples are, parents and teachers and school and society in general. Excuse me. And um, and so again, when we look at people in authority, places of authority does not necessarily make them a leader. So that's what I want to kind of define tonight, is what is a leader, and how can we become those things. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. I'm doing a class this Sunday at 3 o'clock, and the class is called Defining Your Relationships. So this would be one of those roles that we define. And it's a really funny class because, in order to manifest things in our life, we have to assess where we are and what tools we have and what we've got, and who's in our world. And again, what you align with is what you become. All right. And this is why sometimes when we've had maybe families of origin that were dysfunctional, or we've had cataclysmic tragic events in our life where we've been victimized, or some kind of an oppressive situation, it tears at our confidence, and we really have not been taught what real leaders are. Quite often we've had dictators or tyrants, bullies, those kinds of folks telling us who to be, and what to do, and you know do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. So there's a lot of hypocritical information. We get a lot of mixed messages, especially as children, from those roles in our life. So the class Sunday is called Defining Our Relationships, and it's really about attracting better relationships, and by really learning how to define those better. So, and then being the thing that we want. So so leadership. I guess I kind of want you guys to kind of define, what do you call a leader? What qualities would a leader have? And so for me, I again, I had a lot of oppressive people in my life, and a lot of people who were hypocritical. They were very oppressive. I went to parochial school, which was a very contrary, hypocritical message quite frequently of, love one another. But meanwhile, I'm getting beat up every day in the parking lot. So, and there was no leaders, nobody coming along, or people in authority were not, uh, you know, stepping in or stepping up. And so I learned very early on to distrust people in authority places because they weren't always walking their talk. Okay. So I went through this world very distrustful of people in places of authority. And so I just started being my own authority. Okay, well, I didn't really have the tools to be in authority, even for myself, because I didn't really have that kind of understanding. So I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't have that proper loving discipline that showed me the better way always to do things. I was taught that if you do it wrong, you're going to get punished. Okay, but no matter what you don't know how to do it right. So you can't just beat somebody up for not knowing what to do constantly, because that just tears down somebody's self-esteem. So anyway, so I want us to define what the word leadership, okay, or leader. I want you to really define that, okay, for yourself. So at the top of your paper, just write leader. And so what are the qualities of a leader? What are those qualities that you would assign to that? So when I'm looking at somebody who's in a place of that I'm going to give or align with to have be in an authority place, I look at, like we just talked about, do they, speak and walk the same message? So they got to walk their talk. The cool thing about leaders is they're not afraid to go first. They lead no matter who's following, and so they walk their talk. And another thing for me is about integrity. Are they honest? Are they truthful? Even if it's painful, are they good communicators? So communication, um, truth, honesty. Do they have experience? What does their experience look like? It's almost like interviewing. You want to interview them for, who we choose to put into authority or align with. Like I'm a leader. Okay. So I'm very conscious of who I align with, because I'm known by the people that I align with. And so like they say, if you lay with dogs, you get fleas. So you are known by the company you keep. And I have to respect the people that I align with because I respect myself. And so I have a responsibility as a leader, not only to do the right thing for me, but there's a lot of people who look up to me, or even if it's just my child, okay, that I don't want to, you know, give him a mixed message of, accountability or any of those things. So it's important that we learn how to walk our talk as leaders. So and so I'm very conscious of who I align with in my life. And I make sure that, again, I've defined these relationships. I've defined this particular one because I've had very bad examples of leaders. So I was, like I said, it's about trust. And because my trust had been breached early on with a lot of people in authority places, I had a very hard time with authority because I didn't trust them. And so even if, so it's like I was very oppositionally defiant about, being told what to do, because most of the time people who were telling me what to do weren't doing it themselves. So, why should I? Right? That got me in trouble. Okay. It never gets the other guy in trouble. That's just what makes me laugh about it. So yes, so that's for me. So those qualities is walking your talk, being a good communicator, being truthful and honest, even if it's painful. And that leader really has to look at, that they're responsible for uh, a plethora of people. That they're leading a group, and they have to be conscious of how their decisions affect everybody in the group, and try to meet those as best they can while, pursuing a goal of whatever the goal is. So when we look at that there's a huge amount of responsibility to others, because the choices and decisions that I make not only affect me, but they also affect everybody that looks up to me or follows me, like my son. Okay, if you just want to take it down to a, really local relationship, as a parent to a child, I've learned very bad behavior from people who told me to do one thing and then they never walk their talk. So that's a place of trust. So as a parent, I want to make sure that if I'm going to say it, I better be doing it myself. Okay. So yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So let me see who we got on here tonight. Hey, Brienne and Ralph, Willie, unlimited love to you too. Willie has done an interview with me on my podcast, and if you guys go to YouTube and you look up Willie Lawson, he and I did an interview because Willie is one of the most amazing people I know. So when I introduce you guys to these interviews of people that I respect, that I really look up to, who are doing really amazing things in this world, it's to get you inspired. It's to get you inspired in your own life too. Because all the people that I interview are just regular folks who had an awakening of some kind and then made that their life mission to use their pain to become their purpose, the things that they saw a need out there and they just jumped in and filled it. And so they're all leaders. I don't even know if they all see themselves that way, but I do. And I'm just so amazed by the things that they've done. So Willie actually has a foundation called Unlimited Love, and he does outreach in the community, and it's just fascinating. I mean, so Willie's doing it in his world, I'm doing it in my world, and so when you look at the interviews that I've done, these are just really interesting people who are not necessarily saw themselves as leaders maybe early on in their life, but definitely stepped up and became those things. So, and have created an unbelievable amount of change just by going first. So, hopefully you'll get inspired by that. So, again, there's a difference between a leader and a tyrant, a leader and a dictator, a leader than, because this isn't about power. Absolute power does corrupt absolutely. And so if somebody is not walking their talk, if they're not telling the truth, if they're after their own self-interest, and that's really manipulation, not leading. And so again, we have to really discern who we put in places of authority in our life and in our world. So I think we're getting a huge awakening to that. And I have to tell you, sometimes it's easier to just go, oh, if they're going to go and they're going to lead, let them, But there's a huge responsibility that we have with putting people in places of authority that are qualified, you know? I mean, I had a boss one time. Oh my God. I don't know how they, again, sometimes it's just longevity gets you a position of authority. But that does not necessarily mean that they're a leader, and so we have to really discern that and be conscious of our own leadership. So we're all leaders in the making. Okay. We're all in places of authority, whether we know it or not. I'm an authority over my own life. And if I don't learn to trust myself and I don't learn to get accountable and walk my talk, and, then that creates, so insecurity is really lack of confidence in my ability to lead myself. I don't trust myself. So that insecurity needs to be healed and nurtured. And and confidence instilled by encouragement and, getting up and doing it, stepping through our comfort zone, taking risk. All of those things are what real leaders do. And once you have those experiences under your belt, it builds confidence. So that's what I try to help people do is heal those places where, our soul came here to create experiences in this life. And sadly, some of us have had very poor, conditioning in that way. And so I help people heal those things so that we can get back to that higher, more divine reason and purpose why we're here. We're not here to suffer. But I have to tell you, some of the greatest leaders I know started off in a place of being oppressed or being traumatized or victimized. And so that's why they lead. Because, like myself, this is why I advocate. This is why I'm always jumping in and defending people. Because, again, in my life, there were people that were doing that. So, but I also learned that with those things comes a great responsibility, to be consistent, to be trustworthy. And so I had to really learn how to do those things in my own life. Okay? You're not always going to have people coming along doing that for you. So you're going to have to learn how to reach out for help and start, getting up one day at a time and making changes in your world. We can't keep blaming it on other people and laying there, you know, just crying about it. So that's what we do. We're here to support each other as we're making changes, and we're here to support each other while we're pushing each other through as you're pushing yourself through the comfort zones and learning new things and trying new things and building that confidence that somebody or something took away or never inspired in you. So that's again, not everybody's going to be like, head of a CEO of a corporation, but when you give away your authority to people, and just expect them to do the right thing when they don't have the qualities of a leader, then we're going to be disappointed. And they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. And so that is not necessarily a leader. So leaders have to think about everybody they affect. Every decision I make affects somebody, whether it's myself or you or my own family or my kid. And so, I have a responsibility to you and them to be my best version. Now, we're not perfect, okay? I'm not, trust me, ask my kid, I'm not perfect. But I'm working on it every day. I work at being my best version every day. So that's all we can expect from each other. And that's why we have the village. So the village is really not a place necessarily, although, it is a place sometimes, normally, if we weren't in all this craziness. But but we are connected by that common thread. And that's why I do these videos, to keep you guys connected. So look at the names on here. You see the same names coming up all the time. And those folks are always supporting me. And I'm, they're part of my village. These are people that have influenced me or I've influenced them. And so I do these videos to inspire you, to keep you from, sitting in your head and, twirling around in there too long by yourself. And so we do need this connection, and we do need people in our lives that are inspirational. And so, when you, like, for instance, I worked for this gentleman named Harry. Harry was a leader. He was a leader. And he was so loving and kind, even if he was telling me, hey, Marianne, you're doing that the wrong way. You need to do it like this. And he was very kind and nurturing, something I'd never really experienced from anybody in a place of authority before. And so Harry really took me under his wing and truly was a mentor to me, professionally and personally, and so I was very, I wasn't related to Harry. It was a boss I had at one point in my life. And, so when we look back, even though I didn't have some of those things in my early life, God and the universe just started plunking these people down along the way to help me out, and then I'd move on and away from them. But then another teacher would appear. So I've had a number of really amazing mentors in my life that were trying, in spite of me at the time, to give me the, love and nurturing and encouragement to be my best. And so Harry prepared me for corporate. he prepared me for the corporate world, even though where I was working was not necessarily semi-corporate. It wasn't even, it was like a family-owned business. But Harry was letting me know that this is a stepping stone to somewhere bigger. And so he always, he showed me what was expected of me in that corporate environment and start working on it now. So how I dressed, how I talked. I developed a phone voice. Harry used to actually have me record myself while I was on collection calls so that I could, listen to it again and listen to those, voice things that are just really annoying. Like when you say, all the time, I always say again. And, those little things you don't necessarily hear that you do. And then you could alter the way you talk. And so I've always had this like radio announcer voice that I can turn on. I call it my phone voice. And I have done voiceovers and things like that, with that grooming that Harry gave me, learning about enunciation and timing of speech. And it was an amazing education I couldn't have paid for. And so I miss him greatly. He was a wonderful, wonderful guy. He was like a dad to me. Like one time I took all the rent money and went to Florida. And he was like, "What are you going to do when you get back?" I said, "I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get back." And he's like, "Marianne, that is not how we do things." And I'm like, "I don't really care, Harry. I'm doing it anyway." And I did it. And again, even our lesser choices bring experience and they bring a lesson. And so, yeah, I had to figure it out when I got back. And Harry never said, "I told you so." He would not give me an advance on my paycheck either. Okay. Because, I tried that when I got back. So again, we've had these amazing people in our lives that have been mentors and have been leaders in our life that have been trying to show us the way. So I'm here to help you guys find that leader in you and to heal those places so that you can become authorities in your own life. Trust yourself, learning how to trust yourself, and learning how to not depend on other people for, to tell you where to go, what to do, that you learn to trust your own experiences and your knowing so that you make greater and choices and not lesser choices. So again, that's what I do for people is we let the universe tell you what's important in your life, that messages that you need to hear that are telling you to go the right way. We all have this inner voice, and this is what I call the stage crew to our life. It's the souls behind the scenes that are trying to get the rest of us out here information. So that's that little voice that, "Marianne, don't do that." "Jason, don't do that." Or, "Jason, go do this." Or, "Marianne, go do this." And that little voice is never going to lead us astray. Not the mean, critical voice that says, "You suck, you're an idiot, you blew it." That's our ego. That is not a voice we really want to listen to anymore, and it's very loud. So this is part of the things that I teach in these classes is they're empowerment tools. They're spiritual empowerment tools to get us on the road and to really start, making peace with the past and taking the lessons from that and then creating a game plan for the future. So we want to really manifest better things in our life, but we can't do that if we haven't cleaned off the road. So that's really kind of where we're at tonight. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So when we look at the world, an authority or people that we put in power, people that represent you, okay, that we have a responsibility to elect or put those people into a position that you respect, that are going to do a good job for all of us, not just some of us, okay? Not just the folks that, pay them off. That way the little guy, the poor guy never gets anything because, they're buying their way in. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. That's a dictator, okay? That's a tyrant. Somebody's on the take. Okay, a leader is not on the take. So when we define that, I think it's very important to um, discern who it is that we have a responsibility to uh, give them authority in our life and in our world. So we really can't be mad when we weren't really researching people or interviewing people for the position. Okay, you're like, "Oh, you talk big, say a lot of all the right things, but we don't really stop to see, are they walking their talk? Are they honest? Do they have integrity? All of those things that, they'll sell out their grandmother for this, you know, they'd sell their grandmother, they'd throw her in front of a train for money or power or whatever. And that's, not the people I give authority to. I don't respect a lot of people. Okay. I have one eyebrow. And again, being intuitive and being able to kind of get to know people before I get to know people, I get a really interesting knee jerk about folks, and so I don't just jump in. I wait and I watch and I listen and I wait until I decide whether they're trustworthy or not. Okay. I don't just trust everybody. I'm lucky to trust anybody. Okay. There's a time where I didn't trust anybody. So, and I didn't trust myself. So, now I know who I am and I know my good qualities, my bad qualities, and I work really hard at trying to be that leader. So, and embrace those qualities in myself. So anyway, you guys have any questions about that? Let me take a look and see who we have on here. Yeah, we give our authority and our power away to people that aren't we have not interviewed well. And I think that's what we're all learning, especially now in our world, is the people that we've given authority to, we haven't really been checking and going, hey, uh, you know, you're not doing this right. We have a responsibility to hold them accountable as well. So when we give anything authority, absolutely, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if people know you're not going to check on them and they know you're not going to hold them accountable, then they do whatever they want. And then, we're mad when they run amok, you know. And so when we look at places or people in authority, we've put them there on some level. We've agreed to it. And whether we actually hired them personally or we, paid them to do a job, or whatever, that we have to be responsible for who and what we allow in those places of authority in our life. And so when I'm a leader, I'm not easily deceived. I don't mind doing it myself. Okay. But, there are times where I have to partner with other leaders or people in authority. But again, we have a responsibility to hold each other accountable to the things that we say we're doing. And if not, then they shouldn't be in those positions or situations. So, yeah, so we have to keep, setting boundaries. We have to start expecting more, not only from ourselves, but from those people. I never thought in the million years that I would be a leader. I mean, I was an autistic kid who used to cry when she read a book report. I couldn't even stand in front of people and talk. It was awful. I mean, if you guys know me then, you'd be like, oh my God. I mean, I talk in front of hundreds of people now, hundreds and hundreds of people. I have no trouble standing in front of them and articulating what I'm there to do. I would never have told you 40 years ago that I would be able to do that. But if it wasn't for all the mentors in my life that saw that in me and nurtured it in me and developed it in me, I would not be able to do that work. I would not be able to do this work because it wasn't the early people in my life that taught me that. It was people like, I worked at a beauty shop. I had 100 mothers who were helping me, do my hair and put on makeup and how to, take appointments and talk to the ladies. I mean, I learned all of that as a teenager from these women. They weren't even related to me. And so if it wasn't for all these beautiful, amazing leaders in my life that came along at the right time, that the universe just placed into my life, I would not be the woman you see before you today. So it took a village. The reason my business is called a village, because that's the only way I am standing in front of you today, was because of the other people in my village who did that for me. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to nurture, support, encourage, and educate each other because none of us have all the answers. We're all ignorant of something. And frankly, sometimes we got to unravel some of the crap we did in the ignorance in order to find out who we are and what we're capable of. And that's why there's no judgment here. I'm not going to judge you for being ignorant. Now, if you choose to remain ignorant, okay, then we will not be aligning with each other. But we nurture each other through those difficult growing pains. And that's what the village is about. Anyway, okay, we got Jennifer Keller. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Oh, just give me a call in. I'll be more than happy to put you on the books. Hi, Kathy. Right? Oh, I look forward to hearing from you then. What else we got here? Hey, Sarah and Catherine. Claire, my girl. Claire's like the poster child for taking risk. I am so proud. See, that's the interesting thing. I know you guys. I know you. I've seen you at your worst, your best. We're always encouraging and supporting each other, guys. So Yeah, stepping through fear and taking risk. And I've known so many people who are just afraid to be lost, afraid to like physically get lost, that they are afraid to get on the highway or drive or any of these other things. And that stuff is so limiting. Fear is so incredibly limiting. And then to watch them take baby steps and practice, stepping, going a little further, going a little faster, you know. I mean, this isn't Colorado, okay? This is Ohio. Well, where I am, it's Ohio. It's hard to get lost in Ohio. All roads lead somewhere. That's what my grandfather used to say. Marianne, all roads lead somewhere. I mean, there really is no lost as long as you stay on the road. Okay, when you start off-roading it, that's when things get a little, tricky. And so it's really important that, we don't allow fear or that insecurity to limit us. And that's really what it does, guys. Fear is an illusion, false evidence appearing real. Fear. Fear is like a smokescreen. And if you just step through that fear, on the other side of it is all the good stuff. But that takes faith and it takes trusting yourself and trusting something bigger than you is at work here. That even when I don't know the way, I just trust that inner knowing, and I step through those fearful things. Now, I'm really not afraid of much at this point. So, not in that kind of way. But yeah, there's very little to fear when we trust ourselves and we trust, you know, the things on the other side. I'm telling you, Ralph. I've been very blessed. So some of these folks are from my early life. Some of these folks are from all the phases of my life, whether it's, my business. I had a retail location, so I know a lot of people from there, through my spiritual journey, through the community. I do a lot of community work. So this is a really amazing group of people that I follow and follow me. And, again, I know amazing people doing amazing things in environments that you would never expect. And so that's why hanging out here, you get to see each other more often. And when we get together, you'll actually get to meet each other. I've seen so many amazing friendships develop just because we're all the same. We're all coming together under this common thread of spirituality and humanity. And you're starting to meet people who are like you, people that, are doing the right thing, who are honest and, really trying to make it their world and other parts of the world better. So I can't wait till we're all together again and you guys can actually meet each other. I'm so excited. Jason, I have a hard time making changes. I keep finding out the mental conditioning that rules my action is more deeply rooted than I ever thought. Yes, that can be. Well, and then we also have physiological things. It's not even just stuff that's happened to us. Sometimes we have, like I'm non-neurotypical. Some of those things become so deep seated, or we just have a biological reason why we can't. But it's about little changes, little teeny things, practicing, doing what you can do. Not all of us are going to be CEO of Huntington Bank, but we can all lead, in our own world and be an example of that out in the world. So it doesn't have to be some giganimous thing that we expression of our leadership. It's about just doing the right thing and being a good example. And sometimes it's baby steps because sometimes we do have brain chemistry issues. Sometimes we have physiological issues that keep us from being able to do certain things. And those limitations are just really limitations. There are other things that we can do even though we can't do this, we can definitely do something. So, like I said, it's an inch or a mile. At least we're moving forward. That's all that matters. Would you believe the most academic stuff in my head that I found is based in stuff I could have let go a long time ago if I had been more aware? Okay, well, hindsight's 2020, Jason. The reason they say that is because, when I was walking around running with scissors, okay, or I had very few tools or very little information, or the conditioning that I'd had, I did my best with what I had. Now then, when I woke up, okay, and when I realized I had those awakenings, okay, and I look back, I'm like, oh my God, Marianne, you're so ignorant. Well, I just didn't know any better. Ignorance is just lack of information. So you can't beat yourself up for being ignorant. It's not like I did it on purpose. Well, some of it I did on purpose, and I had owned that, okay, but there was a point in time where there were things that I did in my ignorance that I truly did not know any better. Okay. And now I do. So this is where we have to work through forgiveness. of ourselves, forgiveness of others, and making amends where we can for those things. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's that simple. Now, whether we approach people directly or, and again, this is where forgiveness is important because people in their ignorance did things to me and they really didn't know any better. And they did it to everybody. It wasn't even just to me. It was to a lot of people. And so healing those traumas, healing those things that have happened to us or things that we've done, there is redemption, guys. There's redemption and there is freedom and truth. And, once we see that our soul needed this experience and work through the process of grieving some of those things and working through the process of letting go and manifesting new things in our life with those new awarenesses, it's really so simple, it's hard, but we can't really always do it alone. We need other people to help us through those processes. This is why we have physicians. This is why we have mental health professionals. This is why we have, spiritual coaching, ministers, and things like that. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help you heal all those things so that you live your best life with the tools you have, with the things that you have, your assets, So I know, right? You wouldn't believe the most academic stuff in my head that I found is based in stuff I could have let go of. I know. Well, we think things to death, Jason. We're very good at thinking and we're not always good at doing, and so that takes practice. It's like working a muscle. Discipline is like working a muscle. You have to do it all the time, every day. Practice, practice, practice. Because those old behaviors took conditioning and practice. So when we uncondition those things and we do new things, it's got to be consistent. As if you were parenting a child. You don't just walk up to a kid and tell them, I'm going to throw your toys away because you don't put them away. Well, you never told them how to put them away in the first place. So those things, discipline has to be consistent and loving. And so, yeah, we have to learn how to lovingly parent ourselves. Yeah, that's not easy. Yeah, letting go. So there's all these wonderful spiritual tools that I give you in learning how to look at those things from this higher spiritual perspective, learning how to work through a process of letting go and healing those things, and then emerging so much better, so much better, way more solid and peaceful. All right, kids. Yeah, so, I just want to celebrate all the awakenings that we're having right now. We've got a ton of astrology going on. This is kind of funny. So all the astrology, like I talk about this in every video eventually, just because, not everybody watches every video. So sometimes for you guys who come all the time, I'm going to repeat myself. But the astrology right now has not happened for 800 years. Okay, this is really amazing, awful, wonderful. Okay, so what's happening is everything's lining up. So all the planets that are aligning right now have not aligned in a long, long time. So when these planets line up, what happens is people think, it's not, they're aligning, but so that what that does, it creates like almost like a laser beam of all those planets' energies targeting our world. So as human beings, we react to that. We react to those planetary influences. And this is why I love astrology. Now, I am not an astrologer. I did have Gloria Savage, who is an astrologer, on my little webinar here. And if you go to YouTube, there's the whole, she talked about this whole thing. So those planetary influences that are happening now are all about spiritual awakening, truth, and karma. Okay. So the only way there is always this upheaval that comes so that we can see what's broken. So right now, nothing can stay hidden. All the untruths are coming out. People are getting nailed left and right for doing the wrong thing. Okay. So this is why when you willingly clean off your road and you take ownership for who you were and what you've done, there's nothing to hide. You're not afraid of the truth because you've already dumped your whole bag of crap on the table and we've all gone through it. And then, again, I was ignorant. I didn't know. Now I do. Now I'm going to do it better. And so yeah, so nothing can stay hidden right now. I mean, if people are lying, cheating, have some skeleton in their closet, okay, it's all coming up. It can't stay hidden. Isn't it kind of amazing to sit back and watch all of this transpire? But again, we can't change what we can't acknowledge. So once these truths are exposed, now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Okay. And that's where we have to set boundaries and discipline things and situations that are being exposed. And this is a time of really just fascinating change in our world. I mean, it's really finally getting to a place of all the things we talked about in leadership: accountability, integrity, truth, you know, caring for your fellow human being. We're coming. So this was prophesied. Okay, this was prophesied that in December 21st of 2012, that this shift was going to start. It was the end of the Mayan calendar, and it's been prophesied by every indigenous culture. And so this upheaval is, as we're leaving the fourth world of separation, where we become separate from each other, from God, all of these things, that there's going to be this upheaval where we have to either, take the road of peace. We're creating the fifth world of peace, so we can't go into peace without getting rid of the chaos and the brokenness. So we're going to do two things. We're either going to evolve to this land of plenty, or we're going to take the crooked rail to nothing, destruction. So, this is where these upheavals are very important, because now it's a time to really start walking our talk. Now that the energies are shifting, and now that the truth is being exposed, and now that we're awakening, we all need to be part of the solution. We all need to be working toward peace and compassion and taking care of our fellow man. We're all in this together. We have to come together. So, yes, so the fourth world of separation got us separate from each other. And now this fifth world of peace is about removing everything that is not of peace and bringing us together, bringing us together as human beings. So that's what we're dealing with right now. And it's, again, it's fascinating, it's awful, it's wonderful. People in their own personal life are having truths being brought to them. And again, truth is not easy, guys. Okay, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Okay? And the reason we're mad is because we either let it happen, or we weren't doing something more about it sooner. So we get mad at the truth because it's an uncomfortable thing. And a lot of us have walked around in our own denial before we were able to see that our world and our life was a shit show. But, the only one who wasn't in that was you. And so that's a very painful day. That's the day I help people through. It was an awful day for me when I realized that my life was unmanageable and I was the problem. That the way I made decisions, or the things I chose, were not of my highest and best. But again, I didn't know any better, and now I do. So that's what it is. It's just a process of unlearning and relearning and cleaning up the mess and not making a new mess. It's so simple. It's hard. And our whole world is experiencing this. So a lot of you guys are having personal awakenings right now. And it's not easy, guys. Okay, I completely understand. And if there's anything I can do, like I said, schedule a session. If you're in a really, really bad spot, call me and we'll work it out. Okay, it's not about, you don't need the money right this sec, but it's nice because it helps me keep doing what I'm doing. I have a donate button as well. So if you guys just want to donate on my website and just support these videos that I'm doing, and that money ends up going to people who really can't afford stuff, guys. So if they're in the middle of some tragedy, don't wait, guys, because you don't have the money. Okay, just call me. I mean, most of you guys know how this works. If you don't have the money, this isn't about the money. The money is just because I need to eat. Okay. So, I mean, this kind of work does not, I'm not some, wealthy person. I live very simply so that I can do this work because I love it. I love what I do. It doesn't always pay great, but you know what? We're all in a better place, and I can be that leader, the spiritual leader, then that's what I do. So yeah, if you can't afford this, guys, and you're in the middle of something awful, call me. We know a lot of people. We can get you resources. We can send you in the right direction. We can give you some insight, whatever it is you need. And so don't suffer in silence, okay? Suffering's a choice, and we can change this. It's not hard to change. It just takes, a village. Sometimes we can't change it by ourselves. We just need someone else who's non-judgmental, who understands where you're at, who isn't going to, beat you up for it. That's not what we do here. And then again, when you're solid and you're on your feet, then you can, be that person for someone else and help them out. So that's just, it's all reciprocal. What we send out comes back. And so if we want to make this a better world, we just got to get everybody in a good place. So we're all in it together, and that's really why I do what I do. Nobody should suffer alone. That's not okay. All right. And if you ever want to support somebody, look at like I said, watch those videos I do. I'm always posting other places, like you can always donate to Willie's organization. Willie feeds kids every day. He keeps crime off the street by keeping kids engaged in the neighborhood. I mean, it's amazing what he does. I mean, he feeds them, he mentors them, he gives them purpose, he encourages them to be leaders. And again, wow, right? I mean, who does that? Willie, okay, and me, and lots of other people actually. So if I introduce you to somebody, look him up. If you want to donate, he's always looking for money for food and things because he just serves. He just serves. He's just one guy. He has a ton of volunteers that are helping. And if you ever want to volunteer, you want to be part of what he's doing. That's why look these folks up and find some way to serve. Find some way to get out of your own head or your own situation and just offer to help, even if it's making phone calls or dropping off donations or there's a million ways to serve that doesn't cost you a lot of money. Okay. There's always something that we can give, some talent that we have that we can share. And that's why I introduce you to these people so that you can get inspired. And then showing your children what it is to serve. If you guys get a chance, Jared's going to be on my show next week, by the way. Um, we have had a life of service. That kid's given more volunteer hours than any other person I know. And and he's really learned about people and their situations, and he's very humble and he's very generous and he's very blessed because he's seen people in all kinds of situations. And we're blessed. Okay, we might not always had a lot to eat, but we had each other. We had a house over. We never were without that way. We always had people that loved us and took care of us when we were low or whatever. And so that's what we do. We're just, we're all going to be in need in some way. And so that's what we do with each other. So take your kids out, show them what it's like to serve. That it's not always about how much toys we have or how many things we have. There were times where I wasn't able to buy toys for Jared, but we were always collecting donations and giving them to kids who even had less than him or me. So when we live with less, the less you need, the happier you are. It's really very interesting. We used to always make our Christmas presents. So again, being that leader is no matter where I'm at, there's always something that I can do to serve or to encourage or to support. And that's how we have to start thinking. How can we heal these divides? How can we step through those divides and just be a friend, be a leader. Go first. Somebody's got to go first, and it might as well be me. Yep. That's how we do it. Oh, I love you too, Ralph. So this Sunday, I'm having my Defining Our Relationships class. This class is hilarious. Once you do this, you can't undo it. Once you take this class, you're going to really look at things so much differently. And once we define those relationships, we'll find that we're choosing better in our life, and walking our talk. It's amazing. So if you get a chance to sign up, just go to my website under events, classes, and you can register there on Zoom. It's a Zoom webinar. All right, let's see who else we have. Yeah, people. Oh no, it's so interesting. Watching people, watching people get caught doing the wrong thing and then finding a million people to blame. Write this down. Anytime we're blaming, we're not being accountable. So blame is lack of ownership. There comes a point where you can't blame. There's nobody left to blame except, and you don't even blame yourself. You just own it. It's about owning it and changing it. That's it. But it's so fascinating to watch all these people getting busted for doing the wrong thing, and then they're blaming their mother, father, sister, brother, the president, everybody. Oh my God, it's hilarious, hilarious. The lack of ownership, and that's why they were doing the wrong thing. They weren't accountable. And so it's just funny. It's just funny. I never laugh at somebody else's karma because God knows I've had my own bad decisions come back at me. And it's a painful lesson. So these things are lessons, okay? And again, people are either going to wake up or they're going to keep doing dumb stuff, and it will get more painful. That's how it works. So again, when we're looking at authority and leadership, we need to hold ourselves and other people accountable to that position. Okay, if we're going to put them in a place of authority, then we need to make sure we interview them better before we give them the job. Yeah, well, the problem is Jason. So Jason's saying if I had a nickel for every time I chose to suffer in silence, that was a big one to overcome, and I'm still not 100% with it. Right. Because, back in the day when my suffering occurred, nobody was listening. Nobody was listening because they were all suffering in their own illusion of whatever. And so nobody was noticing my suffering. Okay, so I learned very quickly that, and if I did complain, then I was told that you have nothing to complain about. How dare you complain? Okay. So I learned to keep it to myself. And that emotion built up and caused a lot of havoc in my life. Okay, that unspoken truths, you know, in those oppressive settings, came out in very bad coping skills. This is where addiction comes from. This is where self mutilation or self harm comes from. Suicide. All those things are, trying to end the pain without being able to say what you've experienced, because nobody's listening. And this is why we need reform in mental health. This is why we need reform in medical, that we need to, train these professionals, including spiritual teachers, how to really work together to listen and not just blow people off as insane or victims or whatever. I've been victim shamed. I've had doctors tell me that I was fat, 40, and crazy. Here I was a diabetic and they never noticed it because they're too busy blowing me off because I was a woman and I was menopausal, and they just chalked it off to that and sent me out the door. I almost died. Two doctors blew me off. And the third one, thank God, he's that guy who takes 5 extra minutes with you. And he took one look at me, goes, "Ma'am, you are diabetic." I mean, he didn't run my blood. These two guys ran every test known to man and threw me out the door just so they can say they did that. So that's what I'm saying, guys. We need more compassion in this world. We need to be able to take the time to really spend with people so that they're being heard and validated. Okay. And like I said, this is why I advocate because, when you're in a victimized situation, you can't even speak for yourself. You can't because you're just so far down. And so that's why I stand with people while they're in their painful things sometimes, or I'll even speak up for them because they can't. So somebody has to be a level head there. And so that's why we have to defend each other and take up for each other and be that voice if we have the power to do something about it? And so, yes, Jason, I completely understand. Suffering in silence is something we're taught to do because nobody was listening. Okay. But I'm listening. Okay. We're listening. And you can always tell me what's going on. So asking for help is a strength. But the problem is we've asked for help from the wrong people in authority who weren't equipped. Okay, and that's why we have to be hold people more accountable to the jobs we give them. They need to be you know quality folks, quality folks. And again, we've let people have positions of power who are not worthy of those places of power, or people who have no business being a leader. Okay, and so we can wake up angry. It's been going on forever, people. People in authority have been, criminals in a lot of cases, and nobody has put them in check. Nobody has, and if the victims do, they keep getting blown off that they're the ones who have the problem. So, this is where it takes a collective effort for all of us to be a voice. We have to come together with our voice and we have to put an end to this. We have to put an end to these things. So I'm very encouraged by what's going on in our world. And I'm very impressed with all of you guys that are here tonight. Because if you're ever stuck, just let somebody know. Let us know. And we'll get you to the right place. Or at least we'll give you a map and compass. So, uh, Kathy, I lost my job in March and I have been just existing. I'm ready for an awakening. I need to clean off my road. Well, Kathy, give me a call and we'll set up a session and we'll get you a game plan. We'll look at where, again, you'll get a game plan of how we work through these things because, we can't keep blaming all these things for our suffering when, you know, once you get in alignment with that universe, guys, magic happens. The minute you stand up and say enough and you start getting accountable to your situation in your life, it's like this magical door opens and all these new opportunities, all this stuff starts coming to you. And that's where the universe is just waiting for you to say, "Uncle, have you had enough yet? How painful does it have to get before we do something about it?" Okay, and I know it's scary. But there's somebody out here, one of us has had the experience and will be happy to give you the tools to do it, to get out, to do whatever you got to do. Make those changes. Build your confidence. But yeah, it is a grief process and it is hard to see that, you've let this happen. That's tough, okay? I did not like looking at that, but the only person I made it like this, I'm going to have to clean it up, And so it's just a mess and we just wash it off and start over. Okay, that's all. Learn from it and start over. So just give me a call, Kathy, and we'll be happy. Again, so I was watching somebody online the other day and they're like, "Oh, I lost my job. I need a job." Okay, well, if I was the universe, I'd be like, "Okay, so here's a waitress job. I don't want that. Well, here's a bartender. Oh, I don't want that either." Well, okay, well, the universe can't give you what you were asking for if you're not more specific. So I need a job. Okay, well, that means anything. Anything. Okay, so you've got to say, "I have these skills. I would like work in this area." And then the universe is like, "Oh, okay." And they start lining it up. Okay, but you've got to get clearer with yourself and others because you can ask, but we don't know what to give you because you're not being specific. So, you've got to get clear if you want the universe's help. You can't just say, "Oh, I need a job." Okay, because that could be, "Girl, I'll get, the universe will send you a hot dog vendor," whatever the hell it is. I mean, they'll just give you anything. And so we've got, in order to manifest, we have to really look at what are our skills, what do we have, and, and what do we really want, and get clear about it because the universe is listening, you know? So when you're open ended, like, "I need a job," all the opportunities that start coming, you're not going to like them because you didn't tell them what you wanted. So yeah, so call me, Kathy. I'd love to talk to you about that. I love manifesting. I'm telling you, magic, guys. It's magic when you get your shit together. When you get accountable and you're willing to stand in your truth, it unleashes amazing magic. The universe has just been waiting for you to do something about it. Okay? It's just wonderful. So, all right, kids. Well, if anybody wants a uncle, I know, right? Yeah. Well, you don't. Okay, I don't know. You're young, Christina. Um. Okay, well, you're younger than me. Okay, a lot younger than me. But anyway, so there was this thing where if somebody held you down and pinned you, the way that they would let go is if you cried "uncle" and said, "I give up." Okay, otherwise you're struggling, they'll hold you down and you'll struggle. But when you say "uncle," they have to let you go. That's what the universe does. They pin us to the mat and we struggle and we struggle and we struggle. That's called suffering, people. Okay, or you yell "uncle" and they let you go. And then we figure out how we got here. Oh, I've cried "uncle" a lot of times. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, if you guys want a little quick session, just write me, and I'll do a couple before I hang up here. So being a leader. So we need to define that. So if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to also call me. Here, I'm going to put if you want to text me, my number is, hang on. The number is 216-324-2657. If you text me, I'll call you. If you guys want to come online for a second, I got time for a couple of phone calls. Yeah, just give me a text. Okay. Um, I'm gonna do Ralph. Okay, so there's a woman like Mother there, Ralph, your mom. Hold on. And she's talking about taking care of a young man. I don't think he's on the other side necessarily. I think he's here, but she just wants to let you know that she's taking care of this young man. So that's a nice message because sometimes when people are going through something, you can't be the one to really help them. So because they're going to resent you for trying to help. So what I feel like is you need to kind of step away from the situation and because your mom's on it, okay, from the other side. So the other side is giving people messages. They're saying, don't do that, go left, and this person's like, what, but when you go left, they're going to resent you for saying it. Okay. But when it's your own inner knowing, okay, there's nobody to blame. All right. So I feel like she's helping this young man. So whatever this young man might be going through, she's definitely helping him. So just knowing that, you don't have to try and interfere. Okay, some of this, Ralph, is kind of personal, so maybe I'll call you tomorrow and we'll figure it out. Okay? Or call me tomorrow and I'll share that with you. I cut my hair today. What do you think? I've been cutting my hair for 20 some years. All right, Brienne. Your mom says hi. She's waving at you. You know, this time out that we're having is really important, okay? And I know that, I am used to being out in the world, like out in the world. I'm like social like a disease, okay? I'm out there all the time. This has been really hard for me to not be out there in the mix. And it's almost like, thank God I'm not out there in the mix. I would probably ended up in jail or something. Okay. So it's really watching other people rise. Usually I'm the leader out there. I'm the one going, come on, people, let's go. Okay. But watching people who never have risen rise, it's been amazing. So sometimes there's a reason. Bree, that you're not out in the mix. There's a reason why you're not out there. So just really, I know we're not patient people, okay, but I feel like you need to just take this break and let it happen. Whatever break you're being given, okay, it's just so you can rest and regroup and relax. Because trust me, guys, when it all gets clear, and we're all back out there in this world, there's going to be a ton of things to do. Okay. This world, it's kind of like, everything exploded, and we're all going to have to get our dustpans and our brooms out. And when we get back out there, we got some cleanup. We got some, mess to clean up. So, and there's going to be people who need us. And so again, be patient, people. Do what you got to do to keep yourself well. And again, rest up because this is a great time. Watch the video with Gloria. This time of our life is about getting rid of your own shit so that you don't have any damage control. Okay? Simplify, simplify, simplify. What do you want going out in this world? What would you like to see? What's your passions? What do you want? And so those are the things we should be working on now. Well, we have this time out. I mean, it's not often you get a time out like this. A lot of us are having to really, I know it's hard, but the less you need, the more you have. So it's a wonderful time to just really take this time, Bree, to just be still. Okay? Rest up. You're like the Energizer Bunny. You're like the Energizer Bunny. Hi, Mary. So there's a lady here with you, Mary, and she's telling me that you need to stop talking about it and start doing it. I feel like you got all this stuff you've got to get rid of. Like clean out your closet or You're procrastinating. You talk a great game, but you're not doing anything about it. I have no idea what she's talking about. That's the hard part when we're doing this like this, because I'm only hearing half the conversation. That's funny. Yeah, she's like, stop talking about it and start doing it. So I don't know what you've been saying out loud in the last couple of days, but don't keep complaining about it. Just do it. I like this lady. She's very funny. She goes, we're fine. We're fine, she says. Yeah, stop complaining and start doing. You've been complaining about it, just do it. It's an actual physical task that you've been procrastinating. Oh, that's funny. You just moved. Yeah, so what are you bitching about, Mary? Write it down and just do it. Inches or miles, keep moving forward. She's so funny. She keeps bitching about it, but she's not doing anything. So stop complaining because it's just annoying. Even the other side gets annoyed when we're just complaining. That's funny. All right, Kathy, then we'll get you a game plan, sister. You guys are so funny. All right, well, that's who else? Oh, me, Maureen Burns. This is funny. Maureen, your mother-in-law is, I don't know even know if your mother-in-law's dead, but there's a lady tells me she's your mother-in-law, and she said tell her son to get off his ass. Oh my god, that's funny. That's so funny. Say your mother said you need to go do this. Get off your ass and go do it. That's so funny. She's hilarious. She goes, I always liked you, Maureen. I always liked you. And now I don't know if she acted like she liked you when she was alive. It's so funny. I feel like she was maybe, I don't know what she was like when she was alive, but she's telling me now she actually likes you. So I don't know if she acted like she liked you when she was alive, but she really liked you. That's kind of funny. Is your mother in law passed away? Anyway, that's what I said. This is so hard because it's, only half a conversation. I'd rather you guys text me on my phone and then I can talk to you over the phone. Anyway. All right, kids. Well, thank you so much for tonight. So, yes, leadership. Just to recap, we need to really define that word. And then we need to live up to it because we're all leaders. And it's just that a lot of us have not stepped up. A lot of us have not stepped up, and the inmates are running the asylum. This is like leaving the kindergarten room alone. And they're all running around with scissors because nobody's leading. And so you lead in your house, I'll lead in mine, then we all lead out in the world. You work where you bloom where you're planted, okay? But yeah, we need more compassion, more healing, more accountability, more truth. And we all have to be emissaries of that. I don't keep talking about how it's broken. It's been broken. It's been broken forever. I don't give a shit how it got like that. I know how it got like this, okay? And the thing is so what are we going to do about it? Okay, now it's time to clean it up. We can't be blaming everybody either, okay? Let's just put up or shut up, okay? We got to all be part of the solution. So, anyway, all right, kids. Well, leadership, that's who we are. We're going to be leaders going forward. And like I said, if you need a game plan in your own life, give me a call and we'll set that up. A 1 hour session is wonderful. It's a game changer, guys. I'm telling you. When you can clearly hear what you need to hear and you start recognizing all the signs and you get accountable to the spiritual understanding, magic happens. Really. I mean, some people can be testimonies on that. So, yeah, if you guys ever want to leave a testimony, go ahead and do that. You can also do a review on my Facebook page or on my, Google. you can Google me and put a review there. So thank you so much for tonight, guys. I am so inspired. I know that all of this is temporary. So when we get out in this world, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool community things. But until then, this is how we're going to connect. This is how we're going to stay inspired. And if you guys want to, anything else, let me know what you want to see. If there's something else you want me to talk about or a better way to do it. But for now, this is just kind of how we have to hang out together. So thank you so much. I'm very excited about the future. It's just that, like I said, that we just got some, accountability and cleanup to do, and it's going to take all of us. So, thanks so much, and don't spread negativity. Please stop feeding the negativity because you're manifesting more of it. Just, I know you're angry. Write a letter and burn it, okay? But do not verbalize that. Like I said, you can't yell at sleeping people who are ignorant. They don't care. They're not listening. Okay? The only people that are getting annoyed by you yelling is me. So one day, I was in the car driving, and Jared's in the car with me. And I was like so pissed because I love driving, okay, and I have aggression issues in driving. So I'm driving and I'm like yelling at this guy, like, stop, you cut me off, And Jared goes, Mom, stop yelling. He goes, the only person that can hear you is me. Okay. I know this is broken. I know these people are goofballs. I know these people are, and I know you want to vent, but to be honest with you, it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of energy, and the only people that are hearing you bitching or venting is the people who are your friends on Facebook. We don't want to hear that. Okay, we know it's broken. So what are we going to do about it? That's the bigger question. So if you're really that angry, rather than venting on Facebook, just write a letter and burn it. you know, there's ways to process that. But yeah, just constantly feeding this negativity. Stop feeding the negativity. Stop passing it on. Stop. We all know it's broken now. And I know we're grieving, but let's just zip it because we want to move forward into healing. So, yeah, there just comes a point where we just got to stop feeding it. Okay. And just let the powers at large. This is where we have to let go and let God. God's on it, okay? There's a lot of good things going on behind the scenes you can't even see. So, yeah, if you guys are having problems with that, but stop feeding the negativity, okay? You have to cease and desist. This is a message, okay? So if anybody, is feeding the negativity, stop, okay? Stop. Because we got to put our money where our mouth is. Actions are going to speak louder than words. So you're not really waking anybody by complaining anymore. So, all right, kids, I love you. I hope you have a really great evening. And if there's anything else you need, go to my website, mariannegoldweber.com. And if you feel like I've contributed to your life in any way and you just want to throw me a couple bucks on my donate button, that's awesome too. It keeps all these things going. And I'm looking forward to next time. So Friday night, 8 p.m. See you then. Have a great night. Bye, guys.